Can you guys speak on the process of recording songs out of the spotlight before you decide which ones you want to release, and having to decide which ones you want to show to the world, and kind of like that pressure to be available to your fans, but also you want to make sure that what you're putting out is the best product as possible?
Yeah, I mean, well, so much of it has come without any pressure of having an audience at all for us, because we really were able to form our sound and form our relationship with each other as a band before, thinking of releasing music. And, we mentioned that we've written 40 songs together, but there's an even larger catalog of songs that were attempted to be finished before that just were really just a stepping stone toward reaching even the next 40 songs that are actually in consideration to be released. And even within that, you kind of are able to narrow down, well, these are the 10 songs that feel like it best represents us, that we're the most excited about. And as far as deciding what stuff to release, I think part of it is just, what feels like it's ready, what makes sense in the context of the times that are happening. I mean, like, for one thing, we were working on, before this whole pandemic thing happened, we were working on an album which was planned to be our first album, called The Dream Is Alive. And we had pretty much like 12 songs that were at least in some demo form that we were ready to kind of move forward and try to promote. We were rehearsing, ready to play our first live shows in, summer, hopefully. We didn't really know. But then when all this happened, it's kind of like, oh man, like, we can't be, like, there's no context for music about, going out and pursuing your dreams right now with everything being locked down. It felt like the dream was not alive. But in some sense, there is, like, I think there's a part of context that plays a role. And really, it was because we couldn't really get together as a band anymore to work on that stuff. And so, a big part of our workflow leading up to that material was we were rehearsing to play shows, and we were starting to gel as a band. And when that happened, it was like, oh man, like, I don't want to work on these songs until we can all play as a group together. And so in replacement of that came, like, well, let's just start something else in the meantime, like, while all this stuff is happening in the context of the pandemic. And, I think it's been a really reflective time for all of us, not having the ability to meet up with friends. We're spending a lot more time with ourselves, a lot more time consuming media and reflecting. And it led to, I guess, like, a new batch of songs, which we are still kind of working on. And
they're more introspective.
They're more introspective. They're sort of around this theme of window, and we don't really know if it's going to be an album. We're just kind of committed to releasing stuff as singles at this point, to build an audience. Like, we just need to get stuff out there. And I don't think
I feel like singles are where it's at right now, because people's attention spans are so short that it's like, if you release an album, maybe with the way that Spotify and Apple Music promotes stuff, maybe one song or two songs will make it on the playlist, and then the other ones people it may overlook because it came out with 12 to 15 songs at once. But I feel like there are artists that have kind of embraced the single aspect, where they're like, all right, we're going to put out one song every month or whatever it is, and we'll just keep doing that until something hits a certain level.
I feel like us doing singles right now is sort of a necessary evil, because it's going to be hard to build an audience off of albums. And we also don't have, like, the financial means to do it, because we've established a workflow where we have a producer who, it's not really that cheap to make a whole album, especially with no funds. But we want to be an album band. Because, like, our favorite music is stuff where you can play it from front to back, and it's like this journey, it's this listening experience, it's immersive. We want to have that type of music, but we have to build an audience through the singles. So I definitely agree that the singles are something that we have to embrace until we have that, like, core dedicated group of fans who are going to be excited about an entire collection of songs that work well together.
And it's really hard to finish a song, especially when you're kind of like in our position where we were just figuring, like, this whole year was dominated by us just figuring out like how to finish a song that we could really feel proud of and that would stand the test of time. And we went through this experience of releasing or trying to put together an EP to release that was, now it's on our SoundCloud, but we decided to not put it on Spotify because we did kind of get into the mindset of like, we just need to rush and get music out. And we kind of cut some corners. We didn't give ourselves enough time to finish it and explore the songs to the fullest extent. And we've kind of gone back to this mentality of like, let's focus on just quality over quantity for right now and take it one song at a time. And with each time that we work on a song from front to finish, we get our workflow more refined. And I think we're getting to that place where now that we have the blueprint of making music the way that we want and at the quality that we want, we can get a little faster each time with it. And part of that was, deciding to link up with a producer, as Eric mentioned, and somebody who can help just put the final touches on things. Because that's one thing that's really tough as being an artist. And especially if you're trying to record and produce it and mix it yourselves, is you have to listen to that song so many times over and over again. And at some point
that
you just
perspective from the outside.
You completely lose your mind. You lose your objectivity to it. And so it makes it impossible to finish for some people. And I think,
Tony Dugan's a great producer for us as well, because as a producer, Ryan is very detail oriented. He's like, he loves all the bells and the whistles and the textures and the things I think that make our music pop in a unique way. Mm-hmm. And Tony is like this sort of no bullshit Scotsman, and he's sort of just like, he's like, either feature it or fuck it off. And he's just like, it's very hard lined, broad strokes. And when you have that yin and yang aspect of them together, you do create this great sound. And we were missing something, and we found him, and it kind of completed what we needed to get the music out. That my big rule of thumb is you're doing it wrong if you're releasing music that you have to make excuses for. Like, we could have done it better this way, but it's not. We're going to record something down the road. Don't worry. Like, we wanted to release music that would be like, boom, here it is. Have fun listening to it.
I think that you're recording it wrong, or you're doing it wrong if you're releasing music you have to make excuses for.
Right. And I kind of felt like we were getting ready to put out this EP, and it's like, oh, but like they're just demos, like we're going to make it better later. And it's like, that's like the least exciting thing to do, is to try to work people's excitement up for something that you just know is not as good as it could possibly be. And, I think we went through this process of trying to mix and do it all ourselves, which is, I think it's a little bit romanticized, the idea of the producer and the artist who's doing everything themselves. I mean, I think you look at a lot of these electronic music producers and people like Kevin Parker from Tame Impala, who are like notorious for sort of doing every single bit of the production themselves. And this sort of goes back to the mindset of being in a band and sort of embracing collaboration and embracing the strengths of people where you might have weaknesses. And I think for us, it's like, I know that I'm very good at production and very good at mixing for certain things, but I don't have the full picture. Like, I'm not, at least with where I'm at right now. And it took, some self-awareness. And, quite frankly, like, I think there was a part of me that was fighting it mentally of like, no, like you can figure it out on your own. Like you can do it yourself. But it was like this huge relief to just bring another producer, somebody with, years of experience, to just kind of pick apart, our song Locket is the first thing that we worked on with him. And that's just like, it's this really complex song with a lot of layers and a lot of like weird arrangement changes. And so he really helped bring out the magic of that song. And I learned, what felt like years worth of production knowledge just by seeing somebody who is a professional do it. And
we have like a shared screens thing, so he can see like what he's doing with each dial and every plug-in. And
like, even though he's working in Scotland on it, we actually, it's a workflow through Zoom, and something kind of similar to Zencaster, but like we could just hear the audio of what he was working on in the studio. And that was this cool process. But, at the end of the day, just the collaboration and getting the insights and his fresh set of ears really just kind of took the song to a new place and in a better way.